pleasure to introduce Professor Carlo Cottarelli, a distinguished Italian economist, former executive director at the International Monetary Fund, former Prime Minister-designate of Italy. He is internationally recognized for his expertise in public finance, economic policy, and fiscal governance.
Thank you very much, Madame Rajavi. I'm very honored to have been invited once again to be here with you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here. We meet, obviously, at a crucial moment for Iran, and I would say for Europe and for the world. The recent events have once again focused the attention of the world on a country whose people has endured decades of political repression, economic hardship, and international isolation. And yet, although it is understandable that the attention of the world is devoted to military developments and diplomatic negotiations, we should not lose sight of a fundamental reality, of a fundamental truth. The future of Iran will ultimately be determined not by foreign powers, but by the Iranian people themselves. The wave of arrests and executions early this year, and it's not the first time certainly, is deeply troubling, but far from demonstrating the strength of the regime, these measures reveal the insecurity of the regime that fears its own citizens, that has to kill because they are afraid of losing their power. The authorities continue to rely on prisons, intimidation, and violence because they know that dissatisfaction runs deep across the Iranian society. This dissatisfaction did not emerge with the latest military crisis. Long before the attacks of the United States and of Israel on Iran, Iran witnessed repeated protests and uprisings led by women, students, workers, and young people demanding greater freedom and better economic prospects. Those movements, although brutally repressed, showed the existence of a society that aspires to change and refuses to surrender their future. For too long, much of the international debate has focused almost exclusively on the Iranian regime itself, on its sanctions, on its factions, on diplomatic negotiations, on the hope that engagement alone may moderate its behavior. That expectation, as it has been underscored repeatedly by previous speakers, has not been fulfilled. Dialogue, of course, remains an essential instrument of foreign policy, but the experience suggests that lasting political change cannot emerge automatically from diplomatic agreements. At the same time, recent events remind us of another historical truth. Military power, and air power in particular, bombing, rarely determines political outcomes on their own. There is a long tradition of believing that strategic bombing can decisively transform realities on the ground. History, however, offers many examples that caution against such an assumption. During the Second World War, for example, massive bombing campaign inflicted enormous destruction over Great Britain first, with no results, obviously. Later on Germany, but the Third Reich surrendered only after the collapse of its military forces. Later on in Vietnam, years of bombing failed to achieve the political objective that had been envisaged. More recently, external military intervention has sometimes altered the course of internal conflicts, but durable political change has ultimately depended on developments within the societies concerned. The current situation in Iran raises the same question. Even the most powerful military campaign is unlikely by itself to determine the country's political future. External pressure may weaken military capabilities, but a new political order, when it emerges, and it will emerge, can only be built by the Iranian people themselves. There is another dimension of the Iranian crisis that deserves particular attention: the economy. I cannot avoid this topic given my background. Iran's economic difficulties did not begin with the most recent tensions, nor can they be explained solely by sanctions or international isolation. For decades, Iran's economic performance has fallen short of its potential. Iran is a country with huge resources, huge human resources, huge natural resources, and yet economic growth has been weak and unstable. Inflation has repeatedly eroded living standards. Youth unemployment has remained high. Many talented Iranians have over the years left the country in search of opportunities elsewhere. Sanctions have worsened these problems, but the roots of Iran's diplomatic malaise are much older. These recent developments, these bombing, are actually hiding the truth. The truth is that even without this bombing, even without the sanction, even without everything else, the Iranian economy has been performing very poorly for years. For years, economists have pointed to structural weaknesses created by misguided policies, excessive state control, deep corruption across the powerful, and the dominant role of political and military institutions in large sectors of the economy. Too often, ideological and geopolitical ambitions have taken precedence over economic developments and the well-being of ordinary citizens. The result has been a prolonged deterioration of living standards, living conditions for millions of Iranians. Against this background, many Iranians seek profound changes. Their aspirations are broad: accountable government, political pluralism, equality before the law, religious freedom, and respect for human dignity. The NCRI, here I'm underscoring the importance of the 10 points of Madame Rajavi's 10 points, the NCRI has developed proposals for a future based on free elections, the separation of religion and state, the independence of the judiciary, gender equality, minority rights, and the rejection of nuclear militarization. History teaches us that political systems that appear immovable can change with remarkable speed. Few people believe that, for example, apartheid in South Africa would come to an end when it did. Few imagined that the Berlin Wall would disappear so suddenly. Systems founded on violence, and this is a system founded on violence, often appear stronger than they truly are, until unexpectedly they collapse under the weight of their own contradictions. Our responsibility as representative of the democratic societies is not to decide Iran's future. That choice belongs to the Iranian people. But we do have a responsibility to defend universal principles, to support human rights, and to avoid the illusion that military force alone can shape the destiny of a nation. The future of Iran will not be written in foreign capitals. It will ultimately be written by the courage and determination of the Iranian people themselves. Thank you very much. Thank you.